grand Dieweg Cemetery in Brussels is a one-of-a-kind location. The weeds have completely taken over its graves, and it seems that nature is gradually regaining control of the situation. The fact that this location has an aura that is both spooky and lovely at the same time is one of the reasons why it is such an intriguing location. The Dieweg Cemetery is home to a century's worth of the main trends in funerary art, as stated on the notice that is located immediately upon entering the cemetery. An remarkable number of mausoleums, gravestones, and sculptures dedicated to funerals can be seen in this location. Nearly all of these structures are covered with ivy and other flora that are lush and green. The cemetery may be found in the municipality of Uccle, which is about 20 minutes away from the central business district of Brussels. Despite the fact that it is almost certainly one of the most peculiar locations in our city, it is also one of my favorites. People come here for a variety of reasons, including to compose poetry, snap photographs, paint, or just to stroll about and think about life. A devastating cholera epidemic swept over Belgium in the year 1866, prompting the establishment of the Dieweg Cemetery, as was the case with many other cemeteries at the time. As a result of the growing population, 2 other cemeteries were forced to shut their doors, and the Dieweg Cemetery quickly became congested. Prior to its closure in 1958, the cemetery saw a number of expansions around the beginning of the 20th century. However, it was eventually taken out of operation. Nevertheless, an exception was made when the well-known cartoonist Hergé, who you may recognize from the Adventures of Tintin, found his last resting place here, and a second one was made for the musician Philippe Hirschhorn. Although there are certain family graves that are not yet completely filled, funerals continue to take place here on occasion. Nonetheless, you will not discover any new tombs here. The paths have been the only part of the cemetery that has been maintained since the 1980s. The graves itself have been left to the families to take care of. At that point, the cemetery had been abandoned for more than 20 years, and it is possible that there were not many members of the family still there. As a result, nature gradually began to take control. Due to the fact that it is in keeping with the spirit of the location, this cemetery is one of those locations that may be enjoyable to visit even on a wet day in Brussels. As I began to make my way down the walkways, I saw that the tombs, which were covered in roots, had become overrun. It was being overrun with ivy, along with other vegetation, and some of the graves were adorned with old photographs of memorials. What was odd, however, was that it seemed as if time had stopped here. Within a short period of time, it became abundantly evident that the cemetery had architectural styles that ranged from the late 19th century to the 1950s. It was possible to find enormous mausoleums that were designed in a variety of styles, and the features of the graves were also distinct. In the rear of the cemetery, there was a section that was mostly utilized for Jewish burials. It was later that I learned more about the significance of the symbols that were carved into the headstones that were located here. It was explained to me that the wings of a bat are symbolic of a long life, and that a handshake is a metaphor of marriage, for instance. The walkways in this area were encircled by a high concentration of trees and other types of lush vegetation. The tranquil and somewhat melancholy ambiance of the Dieweg Cemetery compels you to engage in introspection and assists you in gaining a better understanding of the situation. Its beauty is one of a kind, and it is possible that not everyone would appreciate it.